Hello, everyone. We're waiting for a couple of more minutes for people to flow in slowly but surely, and then we'll start.
Il va marquer le truc vous laissera rentrer.
Okay, I see we reach 50. Kemi, what do you think? We give it a start?
Yes.
Okay, let's go.
Is my screen?
Yeah, I think the slide is on the screen, so you can broadcast, and let's kick off the webinar. We have just 3 minutes. 3 minutes behind time. Good morning, everyone, and a warm welcome to this webinar dedicated to the first open call of the Jewel project. My name is Thibaut van Roden. I'm working at Polen which is a Belgian cluster in mechanical engineering based in the south of Belgium, and we're the coordinator of the project. Let me also introduce you the organizing team. We have with us Camille Le Guenec from EMC2 in the west of France. Hi, Camille.
Hello.
Hello. We have Alizé Sibyl from SIM in Auvergne-Rhône-Alpes. Hi, Alizé. And also my colleagues from Polmecatech, Sophie Schmitz and Manon Cocu.
Hello.
Let's move to the agenda, to the next slide. Okay, so this is the agenda of today. As you can see, it's quite packed. There's a lot of interest from your side to do pitches, and this is going to be the big part of the session. There's 14 pitches, 1-4, so that's the big chunk. But before going to the pitches of people coming with ideas, we're first going to give an introduction of the Eurocluster project, and then we're going to jump into the open call presentation as a second point. A quick disclaimer on the open call presentation. The open call is not completely validated yet. The open call is in current validation by the commission, but you will get here already today the main lines, the main objective, and the information. The open call is going to be validated in the coming weeks, but we wanted to make sure at this stage that you already get the information and to have you aboard already at this stage so that you can already prepare, have more time to prepare your application. The Q&A after this, we're going to have a few words about the Jewel Ambassador and the return of experience from a company, Wallace Technology, that developed a proof of concept in a former project, and it's going to explain you why it's interesting. Voila, that's it about the agenda. I'll move on now to the introduction about Jewel. So the Jewel project, it's actually it's a Eurocluster project. So it's part of the Eurocluster call, which is had been organized in the framework or the single market program of the European Commission. Now, in the framework of this Eurocluster call, 16 projects have been selected. Eight of them are dedicated to the net zero technology, and Jewel is one of these 8 projects. Now, what the Commission expects from these projects is that they're supposed to accelerate the adoption of net zero technology. They're supposed also to strengthen the European value chains and to reduce the dependencies and the resilience related to these net zero technologies. And these projects are also very much about the development of SME innovation. SME is really the core of all these projects, and it's also the case for Jewel project. And of course, there's an alignment and a feeding of EU policies, which is expected from these projects. Now, if we move on to Jewel itself, for the project I'm talking about, Jewel, the main topic is on net zero technologies applied in the context of manufacturing. It's a 3-year project. The global budget, as you can see, is 2.7 million euros. More than 2 million euros of this budget are going to be dedicated to the funding of your project ideas of SMEs. So that's what we call third-party funding, and this is a big chunk also of the project today. The objective in Jewel, they're quite in line in the previous slide and the generic slide about what's expected in the Eurocluster. In Jewel, we expect to accelerate the net zero transition and the development also of net zero technologies, to support innovative SMEs in the adoption of these new and net zero technologies. And there's also a component where we intend to build a large meta cluster for cooperation on this topic. Who are we? Because I've introduced myself and a couple of my colleagues, but there's more of us. Quite a lot of our partners are today also within this webinar. 8 partners from 7 countries. You've heard about SIM, MC2, and Mecatech already, but there's also our colleagues from MEC in Emilia-Romagna, from Poolnet in Portugal, from Evoluma in Poland in the Białystok region, from GreenTech cluster in Latvia, and at last but not least, our experts in net zero technologies are from Vaasa, Finland, from Merinova. So that's, let's say, the core consortium. What we're also doing is we're working together and we're building a network of cluster ambassadors, which are wider than the ecosystem, and that will enable us to give you access to larger pool of SMEs, other type of expertise, and we already have a couple of these partners in Spain, in Norway, and I'll tell a few words about it in a bit later in this webinar. The next slide about Jewel itself. I'm not going to detail this too much, but this is a bit of context of what Jewel can mean to you in general, so larger than this open call we're presenting today. So Jewel, of course, it's about funding. This is the objective today, and there's 1 open call we're presenting, but there's also more. There's 3 open calls that are going to be organized. We're also going to provide you with information and guidance about other funding opportunities in this framework. This funding window and these open calls that we're working on, they are actually third-party funding or cascade funding mechanism. So this is typically, you have to see it as a mini open call, which is organized not directly by the Commission itself, but by us as a project organization. And you will contractualize if you win a proposal directly with us. These type of calls, they're very easy to apply. They're very quick to get an answer. There's very limited also red tape. So it's quite ideal, and they're typically SME oriented. Alize will tell you a bit about it later. On top of this funding window, there's also 2 other pillars in the project. The Knowledge Hub, you can see we'll organize a set of regional and European workshops on the topic of net zero technologies and use cases on green manufacturing. A couple of them are already organized and are ongoing. There's also going to be information expertise and individual guidance given for people who participated to these workshops through a help desk and a service pack. The second big pillar here that you can see is the project factory. So we are going to organize 4 different focus groups, and these focus groups are going to start later this year, around September, and they're going to be gathering industrial leaders, providing specific use cases, technologies, and SME and tech providers. And the idea is these project factories is to generate ideation and to generate consortium building, consortium project ideas that can be funding within a specific open call of Jewel, which is the flagship projects. You're going to see this. This open call is going to be organized later in the year. We're going to next slide. This is the last slide. I think I'm still more or less on time. I want to spend a bit of time on this slide because this slide is quite important. It's the scope of Jewel, and it has an impact also very short term on the open call that Alizé is going to present you. It's what is in Jewel and what is not in Jewel. Well, Jewel is tackling use case and it is expecting in this open call use cases that are within addressing these ecosystems that you see. It's quite wide because here you see this one ecosystem is automotive, mobility, transport, so a whole wide range of application cases can come in this. A second one is energy intensive industries. So that's also large. You can have the chemical industry, you can have steel, you can have paper, etc. So that's also, let's say, a large sector application. And the last one is aerospace and defense. That's also quite wide. So there's a whole set, let's say, of use cases that can be developed in these ecosystems. The other point is the use cases we expect your project to be and to develop one of the 4 key technologies that you see here on the right-hand side. There's more net zero technologies if you follow the European definition than those 4, but we chose to work specifically on those 4. So battery and energy storage, energy and fuel cell, electricity grid topics and problematics, and a 4th category, which is technologies for decarbonization, which are based on the integration of wind, solar, and all types of other green energy production on industrial sites. That's it for the scope. Keep it in mind for during the presentation of the open call that Alizé is going to give you, because this is basically, let's say, your playing level field for the ideas that you might have and that you would be interested to work on in the coming weeks. That's it. I stop here for the introduction, and I leave the floor now to my colleague Alizé, which is going to tell you everything you need to know about the current discussion we have on the open call.
Thank you, Thibaut. So first of all, good morning, everyone, and thank you again for joining this Info Day. So I stated I'm Alizé Sibylle and I work as an EU project manager for the French competitiveness cluster, which is dedicated to manufacturing and mechanical engineering, SIM. So in the next few slides, I will introduce first the first open call of Jewel, so which is a cascade funding project, as explained by Thibaut just a few minutes back. Jewel first open call will focus on demonstration projects for net zero technologies in manufacturing. So before going into the details of the first open call, I would like just briefly to represent, because Thibaut already did it briefly as well, the timeline of Jewel project activities. So first we will have some workshop organized, a series of knowledge workshop, which will run from February of this year until June 2028. And then we will have focus groups. Those focus groups will start in autumn 2026, so of this year. And the aim of this focus group is to fostering project ideation and networking ahead of the launch of the flagship projects call, so the second open call. But this is not the call we will be talking about today. So now if we look at the timeline of Jewel first open of calls in general, so we have 3 open calls. The first one, which I will present today, will focus on net zero technology demonstration projects. It will open on the 13th of March 2026 and close on the 29th of May 2026. Each project can receive up to 54,000 euros, and with the consortium of at least two SMEs. And for this first call, we expect to fund around 10 projects. The second call, called Flagship Projects, will open later on this year in autumn. And this project will be larger collaboration, and they will involve 3 SMEs and with a higher budget of around 180,000 euro. And it will be about 5 projects funded for this one. And finally, the third open call for net zero technology and for the demonstration project is planned for spring of next year, so 2027. And again, it will support around 10 projects with 2 SMEs per project. So today's session will focus specifically on the first one, the first net zero demo project. On the next slide, you can see the 4 main objectives of this call. So the first one, we want to accelerate the deployment of the net zero technology in manufacturing. Because many solutions already exist at prototype stage, and this call aims to help bring them closer to industrial use. Second objective is to encourage collaboration between SMEs from different European regions. And here the idea is to connect technology providers and industrial users. Third is that the call aims to strengthen the competitiveness of European industry, and especially in clean technologies. Final maybe objective, these projects should support industrial decarbonization by helping companies reduce emissions and also improve environmental performance. So on the next slide, we can have a look now at the main parameters of the call. So this is the core of the webinar of today. So the information that you will need to apply. So the funded projects will be innovation and demonstration projects. In terms of budgets, each project must have a minimum total budget of 60,000 euros. And the maximum GWOL grant per project is 54,000 euros. So there is the funding rate, and the funding rate can go up to 90% of eligible costs. So overall, this call is designed to be accessible for SME. Projects should remain relatively short because we have a maximum duration of 9 months. And finally, each project must involve at least 2 SMEs located in 2 different eligible regions at the NUTS2 level. So we will provide you in the documents the list of the NUTS2 level, but you can find it on the European Commission website as well if you want to have a look at what regions are available. And finally, each project must also address a manufacturing use case, meaning that the solution should be tested or demonstrated in a real industrial environment. Now let's have a look at the expected results on the next slide for the projects. So first, the projects should help increase the technology readiness level, or TRL. So ideally, projects should start around TRL 5 or 6 and move towards TRL 7 or 8. This means that demonstrating solution should be the solution should be demonstrated in a relevant or operational environment. Second, the project should clearly show the technological feasibility of the solution in a manufacturing context. Third, proposal should also demonstrate measurable environmental impact. For example, this could include lower energy consumption, reduced emissions, or better resource efficiency, among other things. And finally, the project should present a credible path toward market deployment. In other words, how the solution could be scaled up or commercialized after the project. Now we can talk about the consortium requirements. So I've already talked a bit about it in the previous slide, but each project must involve at least 2 SMEs located in 2 different eligible regions, so the NZT region. These partners must also be independent legal entities, meaning that there should be no ownership or capital links between them. Within the consortium, the SMEs can have different roles. For example, one partner may act as the technology provider, and another one may act as the manufacturing end user, where the solution will be tested or demonstrated. Also, additional participants can be involved. For example, universities, research organization, or technical experts can participate as subcontractors. However, the subcontracting cost must not exceed 15% of the total project budget. And also, it's possible to involve partners without funding, such as large companies or mid-caps, if they contribute to the project, of course. Then, a few words about the application procedure. All proposals must be submitted online through the JWOL application platform before May 29th. The application must be written in English. Also, the platform will provide the application form and all the necessary documentation to guide applicants. We are planning to conduct the external evaluation during the month of June, and then the applicants will then be notified in early July. And for those who will receive a positive result, the project will need to start by September 1st at the latest, and with a maximum duration of 9 months. More information about the timeline and the deadlines will be available in the official call documentation and also on the JWOL website. And once again, as Thibaut stated in his presentation, please remember that some conditions are still being finalized at the European Commission level. And so we ask you to refer to the final call text when it will be published. So maybe just to conclude, so this was a short overview for the first JWOL Open Call. Just maybe to recap, the call aims to support SMEs developing net zero technologies and also to help them test their solution in real manufacturing environment. So I hope at the moment everything is clear. If you have any question, you have the Q&A section in the webinar, in which you can ask us directly.
Sophie, I think there are already a couple of questions now in the in the.
Yes, there are. There is a question about the implementation of the project, but Alice already showed the slide. So to answer to Laurence Derek, no, sorry, Sorry, there are questions in the conversation and Q&A. So to Thomas Borgen, so the duration is nine months. And there is also a question about the payment, how it is structured. Do you want to answer, Thibaut?
Yeah, it's a payment in 2 allotments, in 2 phases. I have to ask Elise to help me out on the percentage. I think it's 40 when you start, as project start, and 60 at the end. But I have to recheck this. I'm not sure 100%. But this order of, let's say, this type of size. It's 2 allotments, beginning and at the start.
Okay, and there is a question from Laurence Derek about how do you define demo projects versus flagship projects?
Sorry. The difference is with the TRL level because for the demo project, the idea is to go up to 7 to 8 TRL. So the solution that are developed should be more ready to market in those type of call. And on the other side, the TRL level will be lower for the flagship project because here it's another type of project because of the TRL level. So it will be lower TRL level on the flagship. But since it will be in autumn, supposedly for the timeline, we will also organize an info day as well for the flagship project in which you will have more detail as today for the flagship project.
Yeah, it's a bit of a, I think the timeline is a typo in the presentation. The timeline of the flagship is a bit later, I think. It's later in the year. It's more the end of the year. But as you mentioned, Alizé, there's going to be a specific info day. The focus group are going to work. So there's quite a lot of time to work on this. And also the consortiums are larger also in the flagship. So also I see a comment also from Carsten from Sagasify that I'm answering regarding the topic. It's not always easy to know how the topic and the scope functions. So what we always advise you, basically, if you have an idea that you want to share, is to get in touch with us, your cluster, your local cluster, or via the help desk, so that we can already have a check with you, basically, to say, okay, do you think this fits in the scope? Does it not fit in the scope? And we can help you orient your search, your partner search, to have a project which is perfectly within the scope. This is quite a classic, I think, thing in all these cascade funding mechanism, because all the different projects that launch these type of calls, like Jewel, they have their own, let's say, scope, and it's not always easy to navigate. But we're here for you to help you to make sure that you're in the right spot, let's say, that your project idea fits within. Is there any?
Yes, another question. What from Thomas Bouillon? What is the expected success rate? Same as Horizon Innovation submissions.
Tricky one. I don't know what you think, Alizé, but in Cascade, because it's the normally you see in Jewel there's 3 calls that are going to be organized. If we are the second or the third call, then we have already a bit of a background info to tell you, oh, this was the trend, let's say in the first one. Here it's the first one, so it's a bit more complicated to give an estimation. What we can tell you from experience is that within those type of projects, that always takes a bit of time when you start the project and that project is well known. So there's always, in general, less competition in the first open calls that you organize than in the later calls, because you have in the later calls, the project starts to be known. People that were not selected in the first call, they try in the second, etc. So there's always more competition in second or third call. That's quite obvious. About the rate, tricky. I know in earlier FSTP calls like this, it was around 20-ish, but things have changed. They are published also, so it's a very tricky business to say to give an order of percentage. But I don't know, Alizé, if you have more feedback on your experience on the others that you want to share.
Yeah, last time I think in Gemstone for the first type of call that was similar to JWell, I think there was 20-ish submissions to the first call, and I think it was around 10 something as well, something funded. So it depends.
Very nice.
So now as Thibaut you explained, since it will be the first launch among the 3 calls, it's quite difficult to say because we don't know how much submission we expect at the moment. So I think we will have a more clear view during the process of the submission.
Yes, and if I may add maybe anything, it's most of the time the rate is quite higher than Horizon Europe, which are bigger consortium and more heavy on the administrative point of view. These kind of applications are quite simple, and it's very well dedicated to SMEs, and we may just encourage you to apply, and if you are not selected, you will have other chance on and other opportunities also in other Eurocluster or in Jewel Eurocluster. So we can also guide you to any other opportunities if you don't reach the success, of course. There are some other questions, so I don't know if we have still time. I think time is running quite fast, but maybe some of them we can reply online, and maybe concerning the kind of cost that could be eligible for the projects. Maybe you can the question from Thomas Borgen is can in-kind man hours be included in the cost, and are there any type of cost that cannot be included in the project?
I will answer in the QR directly to the question if you want during the rest of the presentation.
Okay. And the last one is about the profiles of the applicants, if they have to be member of one of the cluster composing the consortium. Of course not. It is an open code which is open to all SMEs located in Europe, in EU members, and in some countries that signed the SMP agreement. So you will also have the list attached to the open call. And if you have any question related to your country or the eligible partner, please ask us directly.
Maybe just a quick also for the SME part, SME are eligible at the definition of the European Union SME, just to make it clear to you.
Thank you.
Okay, I see time is passing by. I suggest to move to the next step, the ambassador role, and then we answer the questions in the chat. A couple of words about the ambassador. I'm not going to spend too much time, I think, on this, but it's a section, I think, which is quite relevant to colleagues, cluster colleagues from cluster support organization to you. Gemstone is also an opportunity for you to join. It's not only about SMEs that apply to funding. So the cluster partners, the cluster colleagues, they can choose to become a dual ambassador. There's quite a couple of plus points, I think, to join in. Of course, you get specific information for ecosystems a bit earlier. You get access and info to the calls. There's also the specific access and expertise that you get from the content that's developed. And of course, it is also a way for you and to open up to your ecosystems, to your member ecosystems, these funding opportunities, and to get in dialogue with us and to gain this access to the ecosystem. That's a possibility also to get access to strategic networking, because a way to connect with the proposals that are ongoing in preparation and things like this. And of course, for your organization, it's increased visibility and impact because you're a part of let's say, of this network of Jewel plus the Jewel ambassadors. That's quite these are the very, let's say, plus point and the positive points that you get. What's expected? Actually, your engagement and we expect from you is it's not so much. There's no financial, let's say, contribution expected from you. It's rather informal. What we expect from you is that you push the information to your ecosystem about Jewel and its activities, mostly also the open calls. That you can help us also to identify relevant SME partners or stakeholders. For example, if someone is looking for partners to complete a consortium, and basically to function for us as a contact point between your very rich regional ecosystems and Jewel. If you're of interest, we also reached out to a couple of you, and a couple of you accepted already to do so. If you want to reach out and this is of interest to you, you can contact our colleague Edita from Evoluma cluster. So that will give you a bit of information on what are the conditions and how to officially join the Jewel project as a Jewel ambassador. The next slide shows you already who we have aboard. I think there's maybe a couple of more since this slide, but it gives you a bit of an idea. We're very pleased to have already all these clusters that are quite well known, I think, for a couple of you. We have the pleasure to have the colleagues from ACT cluster in Norway, which has a super strong ecosystem in process technology and material production. So it's very interesting in the framework of the call to have these guys aboard. Femetal from Asturias with a strong ecosystem in metal and also in defense. Euraméterial in the north of France in materials and process. Ceramic cluster also in Nouvelle-Aquitaine, which is specifically dedicated to ceramics with a lot of the application in defense, for example. So that's also interesting. And of course, the cluster Energia in Spain with a lot of activity in energy. And our colleagues also from CTA cluster, very large cluster in Andalusia, with many applications in manufacturing, food, and aerospace. So that's also very interesting, I think, for what we're doing. That's a couple of examples, but it shows you how through this ambassador, let's say, system and functioning, we're able also to touch and to reach out all these additional ecosystem. Voilà, that's it for the ambassador part. I'll leave the floor again to Alizé, I think, to introduce a return of experience from someone who actually did it and had a project and was quite happy about it, if I understand.
Yes, exactly. Thank you, Thibaut. So now we will have testimony from Wallace Technology that participated in Gemstone project. So Gemstone is the sister project, as we can say, maybe of Jewel. It was the first cascade funding that we had together at the consortium. Sim was coordinator of Gemstone. So this is why this is important for you as well, for the participant here, to have a return of experience and to understand from a winner of one of these projects why it is important and why those cascade funding opportunities are important and valuable for you as SME, as participants. So now I will let the floor to Wallace Technology, so Benjamin or Pauline, or maybe the two of them. So the slides are already displayed by Camille. So the floor is yours, and give the cue to Camille when to move the slides.
Thank you, Alizé. So thank you for hello everybody, and thank you to invite me and allow me to present the Wallace Technology project. So I think we can have the first slide. Yes, it is. No, just before. Thank you. So I would like to present Wallace Technology. We are a company. We are developing a storage proof of concept and storage solution.
I don't know if it's only on my side or not,
Yeah,
but I think we've lost you since the beginning.
I come back, sorry.
Perfect.
So I would like to present in this slide. First, I would like to present the technology we are developing. After that, I would like also to present what was the goal of the project and what we reach in terms of objective. And after that, I would like to explain why the Gemstone project is a major milestone in our roadmap of development, in fact. So we can pass the slide, yes. This is the working of our thermal storage battery. It's Carnot battery, the name. In English, the name is PTES, Pumping Thermal Energy Storage. Its work as, during the charging mode, we work as a heat pump. In fact, we convert electricity into high temperature heat, and we bring this high temperature heat inside a tank where we put some aluminum, and we are melting the aluminum from solid to liquid. It's that allow us to, in fact, store energy, large quantity of energy in small and compact tank. And now it is a thermal storage for the discharging mode of the battery. It's work on an engine mode. And we have two modes to use the energy. Because we have high temperature heat, we are able to provide directly the heat inside the process of the customer. It is the loop on the right. And we are able also to reconvert this electricity in electricity with the same system to inject the electricity on the grid. So it is a battery. It is battery which allows us to provide a dual application, heat, high temperature heat, and electricity application also. We can pass to the other slide. And on this slide, you can see the development of during the Gemstone project. The goal of the Gemstone project was to develop and validate each technological component and of the solution. In fact, we have three technological components, major technological component. We have a tank. You can see on the picture on the right. We have the loop. It is the testing bench, in fact, and we have another brick. It is a converter, which is not on this picture, but we test separately on the project. So we test a proof of concept of 60 kilograms of aluminum, and it represents approximately 7.5 kilowatts of energy during the test. And now I will explain that, in fact, Gemstone for us was a very big milestone in our development roadmap. Why? Because it's allow us, the proof of concept allow us to demonstrate the efficacy of the process, and it was a very big leverage to engage industrials with us. In fact, we have now federate consortium of 8 industrial company, SME and big company, and we have currently elaborate an R&D booster. It is a project to develop and test on a real industrial facility. A scale-up solution of approximately 40 times of the Gemstone project. So thank you. And if you have some question, I'm ready to answer.
Thank you very much, Benjamin. So you gave us an overview of why it was important for your company to participate in the Gemstone Cascade Funding project. So, and how it was very important also for your development of your companies and your activities. So now we see that you are testing and you are trying to go on the regional funding, R&D booster, to test the project. So that's good. So maybe also they can be projects through JWL open call now. So your presentation showed us how the cascade funding is useful and can be of added value and quite easy maybe to access, because as I remember, it was not in Gemstone, and you can maybe just tell me in 1 or 2 minutes, but it was not that long to answer to the call text to submit your project to Gemstone. It was 4 pages, 4 or 5 pages maybe.
Definitely, it was more easy than the R&D booster file.
Exactly. So that's why the cascade fundings are easier maybe to access to compared to some other fundings.
Yes, it is very easy in the process of submitting, and also in the process of for the grant obtention, in fact. And when we need the fund to develop industrial a proof of concept, we need to have the fund very quickly in order to buy something, and the process was very, very, very easy for us. It's different from the R&D booster, which is bigger. It's a bigger grant, but it's a long time to develop the application and to obtain the fund also.
There are more constraints. Okay, great. Thank you so much, Benjamin, for your
No problem. Thank you.
testimony.
Thank you very much.